Now, what could be the meaning of this big ban theory? Let me explain. It probably all began with Moses and the Ten Commandments. Inspiration indeed for New Age Moseses to come down hard on the populace, bearing "thou shalt not" decrees. Thou shalt not love a person of the same sex. Thou shalt not read this or that. Thou shalt not wear a bikini, especially if you are a woman. Thou shalt not eat a certain type of meat. Thou shalt not see in privacy what you cannot see in public. And of course, thou shalt not object to any "thou shalt not" decree because it is unpatriotic. Unlike Moses, we don't have time on our side. So while we cannot bring you 10, we can certainly list 7 deadly sins, or "thou shalt nots," imposed on the people of India according to the Big Bang theory. And of course, there is the 8th, "thou shalt not laugh."
Indians are amongst the most prolific consumers of internet pornography in the world, and increasing numbers of men and women are streaming it on their mobile phones. According to many surveys, India ranks 3rd in watching porn online. Yet, as users recently began experiencing, all this is set to change. The Indian government has launched a massive crackdown on online content. The country's Communications and Information Technology Ministry has asked several local internet service providers to block free and open access to 857 websites carrying pornographic material. As the ban came into effect, hundreds of visitors to these websites began seeing blocked as per the directions received from the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, when logging on to these sites.
This particular notification raises far more new questions than answers them. What is the rationale for identifying these 850 websites alone? Why they are only targeted? What is the future course of action? What is the ultimate objective? Do they deal with complete pornography, or are they dealing with specific issues pertaining to child pornography? Because at the end of the day, we have to quickly realize that if we want to fight and take on pornography as a whole, then it's a lost battle from the word go.
Some websites just simply would not load. The ban also includes several adult dating sites and porn blogs.
I don't think anything should be banned. So democratic society, I think people are old enough to take their own decisions. Whether it is, whether it's a ban on porn, whether it's censorship, I think people are more than I can look after my own children. I can look after my own family. I can tell them what is good. I think I can tell them what is bad. I don't need the government to tell me what to do or what not to do.
As the word spread about the ban on porn, internet exploded.
I think a knee-jerk process of banning any of these things is what's extremely dangerous in a democracy like ours. I'm not in favor of the government or a bureaucrat or a minister sitting in New Delhi deciding what is right for the people of India in terms of what they can eat, what they can watch on television, what they can watch in the privacy of their homes.
But this isn't the first time the current government has tried to contain the internet. In December last year, 32 websites including Vimeo, GitHub and Dailymotion were briefly blocked for violating Section 69A, which outlines procedures and safeguards for blocking access of information of the Information Technology Act.
There are many bans in the country. Some to promote the safety of women, like the ban on dancing girls in the dance bars of Mumbai. That was a few years ago. And this year, in their wisdom, the Maharashtra government thought it was necessary to ban the sale and consumption of beef. I think they did it because eating beef is like being an anti-national or something.
Grab a piece of beef in Maharashtra and be ready to spend 5 years in jail. According to the Maharashtra government, anyone caught possessing, selling or eating red meat will land in trouble. Beef, the popular red meat, was banned on March 3, 2015 in Maharashtra, with the presidential assent being according to the relevant legislation. 2 decades after the state assembly had passed it, when the Shiv Sena BJP government was in charge in the state. The Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis couldn't be any happier. He went one step further and tweeted. Indian President Pranab Mukherjee gave his assent to the Maharashtra Animal Preservation Amendment Bill 1995, nearly 19 years after the Maharashtra Assembly passed the bill.
Anything like this should be banned because there are different, we are a very diverse country, with very diverse cultures and very diverse tastes. Right. There are a lot of religions that survive on beef and they eat it and they don't see anything wrong with that.
The ban on beef, I think, are things that are not, they're certainly a step in the wrong direction.
Beef, generally seen as the poor man's meat, costs almost a third of mutton. A cross-section of people across all spectrums express their anger on social media.
हमें एक दूसरे की डिफरेंसेस को रिस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए और वही एक अच्छी निशानी है ट्रू डेमोक्रेसी की. अगर आप डेमोक्रेसी की बात कर रहे हो तो एक दूसरे की डिफरेंसेस को रिस्पेक्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. वो हमारे रिलीजियस डिफरेंसेस हो, हमारे कपड़े पहनने का रहन सहन के तरीके डिफरेंस हो, खाने पीने के तरीके डिफरेंट हो, हमको एक दूसरे की चीज़ को रिस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए, जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली आज हो नहीं रहा है. और मैं इसके तो खिलाफ हूँ क्योंकि मैं एक डेमोक्रेटिक वर्ल्ड में बिलीव करता हूँ. मैं डेमोक्रेसी में बिलीव करता हूँ. मैं डिक्टेटरशिप में बिलीव नहीं करता.
A few months later, the state of Haryana followed suit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's office has suggested that bills such as this are models for other states to emulate. The laws have affected more than just restaurants. Thousands of butchers and vendors, their livelihood abruptly suspended, have protested in Mumbai. The leather industry is also in turmoil. Beef is consumed not only by Indian Muslims and Christians, but also by many Hindus for whom it is an essential source of affordable protein.
Bans are rather popular nowadays with politicians. They think, having got the people's mandate, they have become not just their representative, but moral guardians. A local minister recently wanted to ban bikinis in Goa because it was very difficult to control men from other states in the tourist hotspot. Maharashtra politicians pushed through a law that makes it the only state in India where lingerie is banned on mannequins in shop windows. The logic, it could potentially provoke men to attack women. Now this brings us to another ban. This one on a documentary about India's daughter.
It is my place to be, my existence in every shadow, in every silhouette, in the light and shade of who I was and who I was to be, where my spirit roams, where I lived my dream, in the lanes and alleyways of all that could have been. It is but is no more. I lived when I lived.
She was just 23 years old, a promising medical student determined to make a better life for herself and her parents. The news of Jyoti Singh's brutal gang rape and murder in Delhi in 2012 sparked worldwide outrage and galvanized a movement to end the culture of silence on violence against women. The horrific crime and the debate it ignited were the focus of a documentary, India's Daughter, by British filmmaker Leslie Udwin. Uploaded on YouTube by a user, the film was significant because it included an interview with one of the convicted rapists, Mukesh Singh, shot in Tihar jail. As the film went viral on the internet, the Indian government decided to clamp down on it. On March 4th, 2015, just days after it was released, YouTube was asked to take the film off.
Well, I took the decision that I needed to do something, probably day 5 or day 6 of the protests. But what motivated me 100% was the hope, was the optimism of seeing those extraordinarily courageous Indian men and women on the streets.
On International Women's Day this year, BBC was all set to broadcast the film in India. The plan was suspended after the Indian government raised objections. BBC did, however, show the film in the UK.
And the one thing, the only thing that was stated to move the court for this court order was it would lead to a breach of law and order. Breach of law and order happens when an establishment feels threatened by democratic, passionate protest. That is healthy. That is good. I love and admire India for being the only country in my lifetime that has gone out on a limb like that. Nobody can take that away from India. And that is why I made that documentary.
The internet took on the Indian establishment in its own way. The film was made available by many users on hundreds of mirror websites and uploaded on YouTube several times over. The more the internet was muzzled, the more it rebelled. As the banning of the film gripped the nation, Twitter too exploded. Later this year, a PIL was filed in Delhi High Court to issue a stay order to release the film. The court refused the ruling but instead referred the case to the bench of the Chief Justice, since the case involving the rapist is still in the Supreme Court.
You have your popcorn, you have been to the loo. So now let's get back to the Big Bang Theory. 1950 was a big year for India. Having just declared itself to be a republic, India banned its first book. And 2 more, all 3 in Urdu and all 3 written and published in Pakistan. Cut to 64 years later, or 2014, when another book, not written in Pakistan this time, created quite a furore in the subcontinent, with its being, or should we say, non-being.
In 2010, Penguin India had published a book, The Hindus, an alternative history by British writer Wendy Doniger. The book, a quiet release in the country, wasn't exactly setting the bookshelves on fire, but it did win a few awards on the literary circuit. A few months into its publication, an 81-year-old retired headmaster named Dinanath Batra, a proud member of the far-right organization RSS, brought the first of a series of civil and criminal actions against the book, arguing that it outraged religious sentiments of the people. In February of 2014, the company decided to pulp the book and end the 4-year-long legal battle. The company issued a statement in which they said that the Indian Penal Code, in particular Section 295A of that code, makes it increasingly difficult for an Indian publisher to uphold international standards of free expression without deliberately placing itself outside the law.
One of the key functions of a democracy is to allow dissent, to allow a difference of opinion. This completely goes against the grain of Big Bang Theory, especially if you are of foreign origin or foreign funded. So earlier this year, the Indian government went after some of those it said didn't toe the line. Greenpeace and Ford Foundation were the first to feel the heat.
Early this year, Greenpeace India campaigner Priya Pillai was on her way to London to give a presentation to some British parliamentarians about alleged human and forest right violations in the Mahan forests of Madhya Pradesh when immigration officials detained her just before boarding the flight. She was detained and told that a lookout circular was issued against her, considering she was going to smear the name of India internationally and was going to indulge in anti-national activities. A defiant Priya took the matter to Delhi High Court, which ruled in her favour, deeming the government action inappropriate. While the court ruled in her favour, trouble was far from over for Greenpeace in India. In April, the organization's bank accounts were frozen, saying that the NGO wasn't transparent about its foreign funding. For many, this was an action against the many campaigns that Greenpeace runs in India, some of which are in direct conflict with the government.
This is all part and parcel of all that's been happening with Greenpeace for the past 8-9 months, when our name has figured in the leaked IB report, which the government never acknowledged, and post that our funds have been blocked. Even now our funds are blocked. It's not frozen, it's blocked. Greenpeace fund into Greenpeace India, international fund into Greenpeace India has been blocked. And after that, this is not the first incident. In September last year, Ben Hargreaves, who's a colleague from UK, who's a UK citizen, who had a valid work visa to come and work in India, was disallowed to enter this country. He was deported from the airport without giving any reasons. So this is a clampdown. This is a crackdown on groups who are voicing an opinion which is not in sync with the government's policy.
Greenpeace isn't the only organization to be on the wrong side of the Indian establishment. Ford Foundation too found itself in the same soup, along with thousands of other NGOs, all of which were put on a watch list. Critics have argued that the government's decision to restrict the movement of foreign funding to local charities is an attempt to stifle the voices of those who oppose Prime Minister Narendra Modi's economic agenda. Last June, India's intelligence service said these groups were damaging the country's economy by campaigning against power projects, mining and genetically modified food.
What is freedom of expression? Without the freedom to offend, it ceases to exist. Trust Salman Rushdie to put it in words, and he's the one person who knows his verses. But then there are those whose words were dubbed satanic because they chose to roast, a type of comedy frowned upon according to TBBT, or the Big Bang Theory.
Offensive, rude, vulgar and distasteful. These were all the adjectives that AIB used to describe the controversial roast. Since you can never play it too safe in India, they then gave a statutory warning. Don't watch it if you can't handle this offensive, rude and vulgar video where a couple of famous grown-ups were going to trade insults with other famous grown-ups. Just to ensure that people get the message, they made their roast master Karan Johar repeat the warning. 4,000 people watched the roast, and some 8 million streamed it on YouTube. As the video went viral, so did the voices condemning it. Censor board member Ashok Pandit was outraged. The Maharashtra government vowed to take action and ordered inquiries, while the cultural department wanted to know if a censor certificate was sought before staging the event. State Minister said websites selling tickets of the show were under scanner and details of performance certificates were sought. The dissenting voices against the roast got a fair hearing, while those who participated only complained about the fact that the roast wasn't funnier. Others were shocked by use of profanity and digs at sexual orientation. As an FIR was filed against 14 people, including those who attended the show, AIB was forced to take the video off YouTube. But by then, the video had already gone viral. Mirror uploads and torrents were widely being used to distribute it. Celebrities were tweeting frantically. So much so that the topic trended for almost a whole week on Twitter.
Overwhelmingly, the roast was well received. Yeah. I think in most rooms that you go, you will see that the majority of the people really enjoyed it, and I think that's what we have taken out from this whole thing. You guys must have prepared.
In the end, a conciliatory note was reached. AIB publicly apologized for the video, although they made sure in their apology the onus was entirely on the skewed perception of democracy in our country.
So now that we have listed the 7 deadly sins according to the Big Bang Theory, you're better prepared to be better Indians. But never forget the unwritten 8th, thou shalt not laugh, because it is a sin to lighten up and accept difference. With that happy thought nestled in your mind, I leave you to carry on with the other news here on India Today.